Could iOS 17 be a larger update than we initially anticipated? Well, before we get into everything, be sure to like and subscribe if you end up liking this video, and of course if you want to see more from us in the future, but I also really want to hear from you. Aside from bug fixes, what's one of your most requested features for iOS 17? And go ahead and leave a comment right now. Mark Gurman over the weekend reported that Apple's strategy had apparently changed later in the development process to now add several new highly requested features, suggesting that this could actually be a much larger update than we expected. Now, back in January, Gurman had mentioned that this update would be less significant than previous years, as Apple really needed to hone in and focus on fixing some bug fixes, as well as just putting all of its time and energy into the long-awaited mixed reality headset. iOS 17 again was thought to be more of a tune-up release, focusing on fixing many of the issues that were caused by iOS 16. So fast forward to today, and iOS 17 is now expected to boast several nice-to-have features, even if it lacks a tentpole improvement like last year's revamped lock screen. The goal of the software, codenamed Dawn, is to check off several of users' most requested features. Unfortunately, there wasn't much information beyond that, and so what those most requested features are, I have no idea, and if you look at any social media post or forum comments in regards to this, bug fixes seems to be the most requested thing. But again, let's put bug fixes aside. What are your most requested features? I want you to again let me know down in those comments. And so for me, I actually talked about some of this, my personal wish list, over on the Mac Rumor Show podcast. And you can actually find that episode on any podcast platform or wherever you get your podcasts, or you can click the card in the upper right corner to go ahead and watch the video version, but I'll give you a couple off of my wish list. So we'll start with interactive notifications. Android phones have been able to do this for quite some time now. It's time Apple gives us widgets that we can interact with and not have to open the app for some basic functions. So for example, Apple Music. Why can't we manage playback controls, skip tracks, go forward or backwards 15 seconds, whatever the case may be to control Apple Music quickly. I don't understand why we can't do that on the widget. The widget's kind of useless. You can actually do all of the things that I just talked about on the Android version of Apple Music, which some would argue is a better version of Apple Music than what you would get on the iPhone. The same kind of playback controls and definitely skipping 15 seconds ahead or behind would be really helpful for podcasts, maybe just being able to control some smart lights or other smart home devices, etc. I mean, there isn't even a home app widget for your home screen, and so that kind of shows you that you really can't do much with these widgets beyond getting information at a quick glance. My next most requested feature is kind of an iOS, macOS type deal, but I would love some sort of universal notification standards. I mean, primarily, I'd love to be able to see my iOS notifications on my Mac and, vice versa. This would be super helpful for those who don't always have their phones nearby while working, or maybe just want a faster way to see what's going on from our phones, notification standpoint, to see if it's worth actually picking up our phones and interacting with it, or potentially becoming distracted by it. It would be kind of nice to also get some macOS notifications, mostly system-wide ones, like if your MacBook's battery is getting low, or if you have an important update that needs to be installed, maybe you can remotely enable the update, some helpful insight. But getting my, apps that I don't have on my Mac, that's on my iPhone, getting notifications for that pretty much across all of my devices would be fantastic. And lastly, I would love some sort of split screen option on the iPhone, even if this feature is limited to larger 6.7-inch devices, though I don't know why, because the smallest iPhone aside from an SE is currently the 6.1-inch iPhone 14 and 14 Plus, and those have more than enough space for two apps to be open in a split screen view. This would be, one half of the top part of the screen and then the bottom part of the screen. Samsung primarily and other Android OEMs have been doing this for years, and it's time Apple brings this over from iPadOS to iOS. It really doesn't even need to be anything that crazy. We don't need slide over and all that. We just need to be able to have one app open and another app open on the bottom, and potentially the ability to just slide the little portion of the middle to resize them. At the very least, I would be happy with picture-in-picture being able to snap to one part of the window so that I can open up another app and have that appropriately resized so that I'm not moving the picture-in-picture window around whenever I'm trying to maybe, browse an app and have like a YouTube video going on at the same time. I don't know if that's really hard to do and bring over from iPadOS. I feel like it can't be that bad, and so I'm not sure why Apple hasn't done it yet, but I think it's time we get that. There's more, but I'm going to highly suggest you just check out the podcast to listen to all of that. We dive so much deeper into a lot of other features and things that we would love to see. And so, of course, I would love to hear from you what you think of my wish list. I want to hear your wish list. Go ahead and let me know down in those comments. This has been Dan with Mac Rumors. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you around in the next video.